Okay, welcome everybody to the first episode of the Founders Table. This is where we sit down with people building America's backbone industries. And today I'm joined by Kevin Damoa, the founder and CEO of Glīd Technologies. They've been doing incredible work in autonomous mobility and logistics, and I'm very excited to hear how they've grown the company, where they're headed next. Kevin, I have to say, your career, when I was reading it, nothing short of inspiring. Like you've gone from designing rocket logistics systems at SpaceX, leading programs from Northrop Grumman, to advancing hydrogen-powered aviation, and now you're redefining the future for freight and defense logistics with Glīd. To to say that's a company story is just it's a legacy, honestly. It's a legacy of innovation across aerospace
Thank you.
mobility and clean energy. And then this summer, I did read you unveiled the world's first unmanned dual mode mobility as a service platform. Historic, man. Like you're literally transforming centuries old logistics processes, and you're building a system that bridges road and rail for I think, the first time in history. To me, that says
First time.
you're not just running a company, man. You are reshaping an entire industry. So I really think our listeners are going to be blown away by the scale of what you built and the vision behind this. So how I want to start is what motivated you to start Glīd?
Absolutely, man. I mean, I've been a logistician for about 23 years, man. So a lot of my life, not half of it,
Oh my
but
gosh.
a lot of it, pretty close to half. But I've been doing it since I was 17 years old, man. So just living through all those, as you pointed out my background, living through all those experiences. I joined the Army at the age of 17. And then did logistics operations in the Army, did railhead operations is when we move heavy cargo tanks and Abrams Bradleys from road to rail. And then everything in between, man, from the uncool stuff to the really, really cool stuff. And when I say uncool stuff, like putting like paper and boxes and putting that box on the pallet and wrapping a pallet and putting it on the back of the truck, to like launching a rocket and pulling it from the ocean and pulling it back in your facility to relaunch it again.
Insane.
That's been my journey. And then all of that, I mean, that's the exciting stuff. And then everything in between, man. I talk about logistics as this love story, where you have pain on one end and you have joy on the other end. And the pain is going through the process, and every day is different, to the joy of actually delivering on time at the cost as supposed to be, or a lower cost than you thought it was going to be, and having a happy customer on the other side of it.
Mhm.
That's the logistics love story.
So, like, was there a specific problem that you noticed in the space that made you want to jump in?
Yeah, no, I mean, I just saw the dynamics of logistics, was enthralling for me, just seeing, growing up near ports and railroads, and just seeing trucks going on the freeway and just being curious, seeing things go up to space, to go to the International Space Station and come back, and just being curious, like the why does this stuff move the way it does? You start at one place and you go to the next place, and all the adventures in between. It was like this constant adventure story for every single thing that moves on this earth and beyond.
Right.
Is why I get into it. Yeah.
That's crazy. So, because my next question was going to be like, I mean, when you think back to like the early days, was there a specific moment? And I'm referring to, I guess, Glide at this point. At like this point, was there
Gotcha.
a specific
Yeah.
moment you knew this was like for you? This was like one, something you really wanted to get involved in, but two, that it was going to work as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the moment of catalyst was like I was working at Harley Davidson's, e-bike company, Serial One,
Love that, man. I'm a
and
big Harley guy. Love that.
yeah, no, totally, man. What came out of Serial One is COVID happened, and everybody and their mom were doing bicycles, and Harley Davidson was like, I'm a two-wheel, OEM. I want to be in the bike game as well. So they developed the bike Serial One. But along that path, I sat down in the seat, and I remember this day like it was like yesterday. And I was talking to my employee, and he was asking me about my career, and I was like, yeah, I did all this stuff. And I noticed, like, I went from like SpaceX launching rockets to like building bicycles. And I was like, dude, I went from like solving the problem of making, human beings an interplanetary species, to being this consumer facing product that's not solving a problem, but by being a kind of a part of the problem,
Mm.
in regards to, creating things that, have a short life cycle, but they're just about fun. While COVID opened up a myriad of issues within our infrastructure in regards to, like, road being extremely congested, rail being underutilized, to all the pollution around, just the logistics infrastructure, to the marginalized communities on the geopolitical side that live adjacent to, road and rail, to the jobs that were being lost in the logistics community that were starting to offset the cost of our goods in our home. When you have like a dozen of eggs that, each egg costs $1.50. And I'm like, I am building bicycles right now, and I have everything within my body, to solve this big, big, big problem that I have to start getting pencils down for. So I knew for a fact that I wanted to do a ground-based system, because I wasn't doing aerospace. I wasn't doing space because a lot of folks doing it, and I wasn't doing any boats. I'm not a maritime, person, as you see in my background. Only my connection with maritime is my dad was in the Navy, and so was my grandfather.
Okay.
But that's it. And I'm a big surfer. But other than
I
that,
love that.
I don't do. Yeah, I don't do ocean-based logistics. I mean, I put stuff on the ship, but that's it. So I knew I had to do ground-based, and I knew the biggest problem was the exchange between road and rail. So that's why I got into it.
Dude, love that. And then this is a quick side topic. Man, it's crazy. You and I have so much in common with from the Harleys. If you could see my background right now, I have surfboards lined up on my back wall and everything. So that's crazy.
That's
Right?
dope. That's
You're
so
on the
dope.
West Coast, right?
I'm on the West Coast. Right now. I'm at my home in the mountains. I live
Mhm.
right outside of Yosemite, but I spend a lot
Okay.
of time out in Oakland as well.
Okay.
But yeah, West Coast. Been out here since 2007. Retired Air Force, in law decision and firefighter. So I fought fires here for a long time. But yeah, California is not my home, but I'm a Floridian. So grew up a lot in Florida, Jacksonville area. So yeah.
Love that, man. Yeah, I'm currently based in Florida. Me and my business partner with our current company, we live in Orlando. So it's a nice little hike
Okay.
from either East Coast, West Coast, wherever we want to go for beach wise. But
Absolutely.
the
Absolutely.
the West Coast I dream of. I've surfed there a couple times, and I've always wanted to find my way back, and I never did. Yeah, I'm stuck in Florida
And
right
there's no ways like California waves, man.
now. No, there's not, man. There's not.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's cold though.
dude, it is. It's cold for you guys over there. So
Absolutely.
for the people that are listening that may not know Glide as well as I do, can you give us like the nuts and bolts of what you do and who you serve?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a great question. So, Glide is the world's first autonomous road to rail solution, and a lot of, what does that mean? So, essentially, we are a platform-based business where we have vehicles, either in a human-operated perspective or an unmanned operated perspective. The manned or human operated perspective has autonomous features on it, and then our unmanned is completely autonomous. And what we do is move any type of good that's on the road, and transfer that onto the rail without having additional material conveyance steps. And when I say material conveyance, I'm talking about forklifts, cranes, temporary intermediate trucks like drayage trucks or hostlers, in between that supply chain. And then on top of it, we provide software services as well. So we developed a platform called Ezra 1.6 that is derived from a Bible verse, Ezra 1.6,
Okay.
that talks about community. So this software, serves the community. It's essentially an AI powered software. It's not an AI wrapper, APIs, and all that stuff that is popular now. No, we built this all in house. But what it does is, it's like ordering a pizza for logistics, where you call in, hey, this is my load. This is where you pick up from. This is where I need it to go. This is how fast I need it. It goes through its system, finds out the load on the load board. If we can fulfill it, it gives you a Glide vehicle,
Hmm.
and we assign it, and you can see all the telemetry. You can see all the logistics for it, just like Uber Eats or a Postmates.
Yeah.
Same exact type, like user experience. And then if we can't fulfill it, then we'll slot in a person that is added as good as Glide would be, or sometimes better, on that end, and that's baked into our entire platform. And we have the protected moat for that, so we have the world's only patent for this technology.
That's crazy, man. What a crazy, crazy like idea industry that you jumped into. Like you really changed it. I love the it's like ordering a pizza for logistics. That's got to be on a shirt or on a hat or something. That was a great slogan.
Yes. Yeah. I
So
appreciate that. I got to put it on a shirt or a
what's that?
hat.
You got a one?
I said I got to put it on a shirt or a hat.
Yeah, no, 100. No, listen, man, if you put on a hat, I'll buy it. I swear to God, I'll buy it tomorrow.
I'll send you one for free, bro. I'll send you
Yeah,
one for free.
absolutely. As long as there's a little pizza
Yeah.
slice on there, make sure it's got like pepperoni and everything on there. It'd be great.
Yes.
Dude,
I dig it.
you've carved out such an impressive spot in the industry. who are like your, if you can, who are like your core clients? Like who are you, like who are the people that you're really working with?
Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing that question back up. So the core clients, we first start off with the rails because we're not a road to rail company without the rail operators. So we look at short line class 2 or class 3 rail lines. When you look at the transport classes, class 1s are your big guys. So your BNSF, your Union Pacific, the Norfolk Southerns of the world, the CSXs of the world, and then you have your regional railroads, which is your class 2 and class 3s. And those are the folks that actually serve your town. So we target those folks. So the class 1s, there's about 7, is getting smaller because they're starting to merge together. And then the class 2 and 3s is like 600 plus in the United States. So those are our first customers. The next spanning out will be a port operator or a drayage type operator or even a warehouser. And then on the other end, since we're a dual use company, the government, defense,
Right.
for example, would be our other customers for our product.
Okay. Very cool, man. So up until now, have you had any big wins in the past couple of years, whether it's been that you can share, obviously, to inspire other people, whether it's been like landing a client, expanding operations, or even like growing your team? Has there been anything that's
Yeah.
stood out for you?
Absolutely. I mean, the biggest win is team. People is first. We can't build without people. So, putting together an all-star team of folks from SpaceX and Google and Union Pacific and Watco and Boeing, for example, was amazing. To have folks that want to follow you for this dream, for this mission of pure belief. The next one was, we close a oversubscribed pre-seed round. We wanted to. We got a lot more. 2 million. We got a lot more than 2 million. That was led by some of the industry's best, Outlander VC, Tim Draper's firm, Draper U Ventures,
Wow.
Capital Factory, Antler, the Veterans Fund, just to name a few. Deep Checks, for example, as well, huge fund as well. And then deploying product, the customers, launching 3 great products and having, over $70 million book of business from folks that want this solution now. Are some of our key wins on the business side. From the everybody facing side, we've won positions to get into Startup World Cup. We'll be there this fall. We
Man,
just were
that's
announced
crazy.
into TechCrunch's. Yeah, man, TechCrunch's Battlefield top 200 companies in the world.
That's wild.
That just was announced. So it's we're picking up wins along the way, man, on the the love side,
Right.
with folks seeing our technology, wanting to adopt it and spread it out. Getting that institutional love is cool.
I love that, man. Congratulations on all those too.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
as you've scaled, I mean, because you talked about obviously bringing in investors and whatnot. You've talked about building your team. What strategies, I guess, have been most successful for you? If you were to kind of, well, actually, let's start with this. Yeah, what strategies have been most successful for you as far as bringing in one a good team, like finding that team, or even just bringing in investors too, like that you could, I guess, give as advice for people maybe starting up.
Yeah, of course. I mean, with the team, you're dealing with humans, so I love humans. We're kind of finicky creatures, though. So finding folks that have the right whys is really important. Not every great professional is the professional for the business that you want, or the stage that you are in as well. And we learn about that along the way. Some folks have a bunch of experience, but they have other priorities in life, where it's like family, or they want more of a chill path to doing things, and at the first Glide is super exciting, because it's like, oh, this is new, we're going to take over this. And it's like, yeah, that's all cool, but it's a bunch of work.
Doesn't pop up
There's
out of
some late
nowhere.
nights. Yeah, exactly. Out of nowhere. And then it's like, you can go from like 0 to a million in the same day, just depending on, things that happen, or a customer demand, or a conference, or something like that we have to prepare for. And it all can happen all at one time. And not everybody's built that way. So, finding folks that fit that archetype of team members is a journey that is ever changing. It's something that we learn a lot as founders and CEOs.
Hmm.
On the and I think that covers the onboarding side. For investors, on the other hand, is learn that all money isn't good money for you. Knowing that the right partner has the right thesis that can put you in the right places that you need to be from a funding perspective. And I wouldn't even say funding perspective first. I would say they can allow you to generate more revenue as a part of your relationship through partnerships, through contracts, through follow-on investment. It's the last step, as you grow through the company. And folks that like push you on, tell you when you're doing bad. Will pump you up when you're doing great things, but don't boost you up when you're not.
Right.
It is like the integrity and grit are the two things that is needed in that kind of relationship. And that's how we're able to land like great investors like Outlander VC, that is a founder focused first, that has an archetype of a founder first before the business,
Right.
and then they go that founder so the business can reap the benefits. Is why we chose those folks.
And if you had to, this is just a pop up question for me because I'm thinking of people who, you know, they have great ideas that they want to start and maybe they're starting and whatnot, and they do want to look for investors. If you could think on maybe a small scale, like if something, maybe a key piece of advice you'd give to someone, whether it's maybe just, you know, going to like commerce meetings or growing your network, like what do you think would be the best thing for a lot of these people?
Yeah, absolutely. I think networking is the biggest thing, especially surrounding yourself with folks that where you want to be.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I think that's the best advice for everybody. Think about where you want to be in life and surround yourself with that crowd. Think about where you don't want to be in life and surround yourself with that crowd. It works both ways.
Yeah.
So, attending these networking events, putting yourself in these rooms, you don't have to be anything but a fly on a wall, but be that fly and then fly off the wall and then jump into the conversations, even if you're not spoken to announce who you are, and try to network the best way you can, is my best advice. As a first step. The next step, if you want to go make a solution, make sure it is a solution for the right reasons.
Hmm.
You see a lot of startups come up because it's hot to be a founder. I want that
Yeah.
founder life without living it.
Yeah.
It's not, and it is not the greatest life. You're solving a problem, yeah, because the problem exists for people that have it worse than you.
Hmm.
Think about it that way. So you are going to feel a lot of that pain that they experience on a day-to-day basis, but it's going to be exponential, because you're going to put forth and push a solution towards those problems and those people.
Right.
So that's another thing to put in a mindset. The mindset is another one. Of course, networking, and then the last piece is finding the solution that you think has staying power, for the right reason. Is the advice that I'll give.
Love that, man. That's amazing advice. I really love the solution problem mindset because in reality, every great business solves a problem. And it's the most
Absolutely,
complex problem there
absolutely,
is. If you can offer a solution that is genuine, that actually does solve that problem, you'll do great things as a business owner. But like you said, you got to go
absolutely.
through and feel the problem. Like, and it requires
Yeah,
being
that's no problem.
in depth. But yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yep.
So like as your company has scaled, right? It's impossible to do a lot of that without, in my opinion, without good leadership. So I know we talked about, you know,
Yeah.
bringing on team and whatnot. How do you approach, I guess, leading and managing teams so that they do stay aligned with your vision? And obviously, it can't happen every single time because, like you said, not everyone's the right fit. But how do you currently
Yeah.
approach that?
Yeah, of course. It's an intentional time. Intentional time to identify a gap, asking intentional questions, and I believe a good leader has the ability to listen and
Mm-hmm.
witness. Um, you know, I think leaders that want to get in front of the room and talk a whole bunch and talk out their folks and not receive anything back, you really don't get much done. That's more of a dictatorship. I believe in being a servant leader. Listen to how you can better serve folks, and of course, provide them that vision, a high level vision, and let them march towards it, and provide you feedback into how they're going to accomplish that mission, and give them a go no go on some of the stuff. And some of the stuff you'll feel no go in your mind, but you let them walk that path as long as it doesn't put the business at risk, of course. But it is a trusting relationship. But again, I think being a servant leader, you're there to serve. You're there to listen. You're there to feel folks out, and lead with emotional intelligence is the core things that I like to lean on people, and in my leadership philosophies.
I love that. I love that. I really do think a lot of leaders should be more like that. I think you'll get better
Yeah,
talent, you get better workforce because at the end of the day, if people can believe in the vision like you believe in it, as a team, you guys
yeah,
can do amazing things.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Absolutely.
so your workforce is obviously like the lifeblood of your company, right? Because it's like you can't do a
Yeah.
lot without them. Um,
Hmm.
we kind of talked about, you know, keeping people aligned with the vision or making sure people are aligned with the vision as you bring them in. How do you make sure you're like bringing in the right people? Do you have a specific hiring process that you do for like, let's say a company is starting up and it's you never know where to start, right? So they're looking at, okay, I want people of these values. I need to hire these people. Like, what does your hiring process look like right now?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So my hiring process is, we create a job description. We put it out there to the ether, and then we look through candidates. AI helps us sift through who's right and who's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And if folks make it through that, next step is to go through a series of questions. So we have an interview process where we talk about your why. Why do you think you're the best person for the job? Why Glide? Why do you want to solve, some of the most audacious issues right now with the company as crazy as Glide? It's like one of the questions as well. And then we give them a bonus, like blank, hey, ask yourself a question, that is intriguing to us, and answer it yourself. That will be potentially intriguing to us. And then we put them through a battery of interviews through each one of our current team members, because we're still small.
Mm-hmm.
And chemistry is a big thing. Cross-functional chemistry in a cross-functional company
Mm-hmm.
at a small scale is important for us. So we have them interview with everybody on the team one-on-one, and then at the end of the interview sessions, we have a group for the whole group comes together, and then we put the candidate in front of us, and we ask the candidate, just random questions, right? Just whatever comes to mind. Ask the person questions, uncanned, and see how they do, right? Across the board. There's no right or wrong answers. It's
Right.
just answers, right? You
Right.
do what you can with your perspective, and that's how we do it. And then if they do great, they do great. If they don't, then we move on to the next person. But that's our process.
I really like the ask yourself a question. Who came up with that? Did you guys
Yeah,
come up with that? Did you see it
I,
somewhere?
I did. I did.
Dude, I
Yeah,
love
no,
that.
I came up with that. Yeah, because I always think about my why, right? And I ask myself my why all the time. It's like how I came up with Glide. Like, what am I doing? Building bicycles. I was making this interplanetary species, and I had to answer that question. I had to provide that question with a thesis.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like everyone else should do the same exact thing. Like when you go join a company, you should ask yourself, why am I even joining this company? Or,
Right.
what is my thesis behind this huge investment, and into this place, right? Of course, you're going to get something out of it, because it's a relationship. But why are you going to give up a large portion of your life towards this thing, whether it's a job or it's a hobby or whatever it is? Don't do it, unintentionally. Do it intentionally. So that's what that question comes from.
I love that, man. Don't do it unintentionally. Do it intentionally. I think a lot of people actually need to hear that because it's in what we go by day to day, and cell phones and whatnot haven't made it better, but it's like we go by day to day what
Yeah,
people live unintentionally, and it's you have to
absolutely.
have intention for
Yeah.
what you're doing. I love that, man. That is a big. Anything else you want to touch on that? Because that was I love that last statement that you gave.
Yeah, no, of course not, and I appreciate that, Tony. So, I mean, and you put it best. We're in a swipe nation now, man. We move through life, we swipe up or swipe left or right, and then that's it. It's ordering. It's the same way. Everything is this one movement, and you kind of do it, without intention. But if you take a step back and you start walking through life, like you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you do all these things. You have this pre-program that is already intentional in your body, but I don't think we are aware enough, some of us, that our energy needs to be dispersed intentionally, because we're not infinite in energy, and that's where you come with the bad moods or whatever it may be, because you're not doing things in balance. But if you did things intentional, you know how to pack your day, accordingly, how to pack your life accordingly, whether you're a father or a husband or a wife or a mom, whatever it may be, or a brother or a cousin, whatever it is your role is. If you lived in those roles intentionally, you'll be able to fit in what you got to. So,
Love
yeah.
that, man. So now I'm gonna ask a quick question where it's, and you can be as authentic with this as you want. Is there any current bottlenecks you guys have in your company? Because I feel like a lot of people look at obviously larger companies, especially startups, whatever it is, and everything looks great, right? Any
Yeah,
specific
absolutely.
bottlenecks that you want to like touch on, whether it's with the team, whether it's with clientele, whatever you think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm an open book, especially for platforms like this. Or if you approach me in the street, I'm going to tell you what it is. The bottlenecks for a startup or any company is execution. The biggest thing is, like, even established companies, they have to execute, and the things that go along with that. for us, it's like building product, releasing it out. This is the first time we're deploying this fall. So will we execute on time? Pulling it back home, will we hire the right folks that help us execute, in this first phase and at scale? How do we handle attrition? When folks are like, hey, this is not for me, I'm tapping out. How do we backfill that person and fill that person with the right person for the next go round so we can get, more lift, more ROI, out of it. And then the other piece is all the tailwinds that happen around you, the geopolitical tensions around the world that cause tariffs, the reindustrialization of our nation, as we start to, repurpose jobs or bring jobs back to America and the issues that come along with that. And that all comes to all of our planning. So, those are gaps in every single company, to include ours. And then the capital associated with it. We raise capital, but it takes money to run. It takes money to make money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So how do you plan for that? Accordingly, and are you planning right? Are you planning for the tailwinds? Are you looking in areas where you can get non-dilutive funding? Are you planning your activities out in a way where you're leveraging debt, equity, and non-dilutive funding so you can extend runway in the life of your product so you can execute? Those are bottlenecks, right? Those are bottlenecks in our business. Those are, the decisions that have to be made on a daily basis. And we do our best with it, right? We give it our all. Some days are great, some days aren't. We just want to be incrementally better.
That's part of the process of being a business owner too, isn't it?
Absolutely. And balancing everything else out, man. The personal bottleneck is, how do you be a partner and a father and a CEO and a brother and a mentor and an advisor, because those are still responsibilities that, that go along with, Kevin Damoa and what I have to do on a day-to-day basis. And that a lot of ways or shapes of form can be, bottlenecks because, of course you want A's and everything. You end up getting B's and some and C's and some and F's and some you don't even get a grade in because you didn't dedicate enough to it. So it's finding that balance, right?
Right. And it's a tough thing for a lot of
Yeah.
business owners. I had a question that came up from my head when you're talking about like the churn of like workers that you have that come through.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
if I guess you had to like point to like the single biggest thing that you think slows you down from growing faster, would it be the churn of workers that you have, or would it be more on like I guess execution side for fulfilling?
Yeah, I think it's more an execution. So when you do have some churn, say you have a critical role, the great thing about a fast moving company is you shift priorities.
Mm.
Like say you had churn on a software person, but you have a hardware product. Now you're like, hey, I gotta go full on this hardware product now with the resources that I have, and then we can, kind of, use that software product as a buffer, in the back end as we develop this up, and then we'll have that product catch up, with more resources, more funding, more firepower, even if we have to like do fractional folks or contractors to make that catch up. But we'll pull that buffer in. And again, it goes back to what you just said, execution. How do you execute to the timelines that you have? And it's not linear, right? You have parallel paths, you have circle routes that you can go and stuff like that in order to get there. As long as you get there, and that all comes with planning. But again, it all boils down to how do you execute given everything that you have that's stacked up against you in order to meet that date, even if you have to push that out,
Gotcha.
right? So, yeah,
Very cool, man. Appreciate you sharing that. So, to kind
absolutely.
of start wrapping this up, I want to know. So, as we wrap up 2025, which is crazy to say, it's August.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy. I
Yeah,
was earlier this year. I was on a cruise, and then I came back, and it was February, and I blinked, and it was August, and I was like, "What
yeah, it's crazy.
happened?" But as we
Yes,
wrap
yes.
up, we're like towards the end of the year. So when we head into 2026, what's the top priority for your company to make sure that you keep up with demand and keep scaling?
Yeah, so staying on top of our production partners, and ourselves as well. Staying on top of our funds to make sure we have enough dry powder in the bank, or make sure that we're raising at the milestones that we predicted. It's the biggest one, and then the other piece is making sure we're building out a book of business. It's one thing to build products, another thing to deliver that product to a person that is waiting. So building a good book of business, getting our message out there to folks so that they can adopt, and then leveraging some government support, right? That's the other big one. With everything happening in the United States, make sure the government knows about the mission that you're on, so that you can start to go into states instead of just looking at like localized independent areas. You're serving a whole state, and the state is backing you, or the country's backing you. It's something that we're looking into for 2026 on both the commercial side and the defense side as well.
Okay. And would you say, I guess, the government side, like getting, because I feel like a lot of people, if they think about trying to do deals with the government, it's tough, right? Like they'd be like, how do I even go about that? Would you say that's tied into your network?
Yeah, it's tied into your network, big time, big time. I mean, one thing I learned is not what you know, is who you know,
Fair.
and
Yeah.
how often
Heard
you
that.
show up at that person's dinner table.
Yeah.
Right? Right? The more hands and hugs you give, the better deals you're going to get. Even if you have the best grant writers on the planet, the person that's doing the judging is going to say, "Oh, that's my buddy that cooks a great steak."
Yeah.
Over I have no idea what these guys are doing, and this is a long paper for me to read. It's that warm feeling, right? With that familiarity comes that confidence. I know this person. I know they're going to execute. I know what they're about. Whereas this blank sheet person that did all this great grant work is like, this is a gamble. Yeah, I have no idea if they're going to execute. I don't know if they're going to take my money and buy a Maserati with it, and then say the government is on the hook for it.
Yeah.
So that's how these networking comes with building that confidence on who you are and what your brand is really about.
Love that, man. Yeah, I think I agree, man. I think your network is the most important thing. I think, especially as a business owner, whatever you're doing, whatever
Yeah,
business you want to do, you got to have a strong network. So,
absolutely.
as we so as we kind of like wrap up, for other founders that are listening or who want to build something that's lasting, what's like one final piece of advice you want to give them, whether it's for ending 2025 or starting 2026? What do you want to give them as like a final word?
Absolutely. Build something that you love, right? Do something that you truly love, right? And the definition of love is doing something unconditionally. When the times are hard, you love it. When the times are great, you love it. And the problem behind it, all the things that come along with it, you may hate the problems that come along with it, but you love solving them. Is the advice that I give. If you don't have those in place, you're going to burn out very, very quickly. This isn't a 9 to 5, type thing. This isn't a 40-hour a week, type of business. Well, for some, it may be, for SaaS, it may be for at some levels. But if you're doing hard, deep tech and you're solving real hard problems that affect your community, your neighborhood, your nation, or throughout globally or in another planet, you're going to spend some time there. So fall in love with it all.
Love that, man. Where can the people find you? What you can drop it. I'll put these in the description too, but if you want to say like the website, LinkedIn, whatever you want, man.
All right, beautiful. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Kevin Damoa, and then Glide is on LinkedIn as well. Our website is glidetech.us, GLID tech, TECH.us. We just got an Instagram and a Facebook, so Glide, GLID Technologies. And you can find us there. I had an investor say, "Hey, you got to be on social media," and I was like, "I'm not on social media," but the company needs to be. So we have a Facebook. We have Instagram now, and we are on X as well underneath the Glide Technologies. So you can look us up there as well.
Love that, man. Well, everybody, this has been Kevin Damoa with Glide Technologies. Thank you again for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.